Cool. So we're recording now. Hey, thanks everyone for joining the February 3rd Ignite developer call. Here we work on the Weaveworks project Ignite, which starts up micro VMs in a cool Dockerized kind of way. And today with us, we have myself and Chanwit from Weaveworks, as well as Sunny from StorageOS. And I think that would probably be sufficient for intros. Sunny's been working on some really cool stuff. As far as action items from last time, do we have things that we wanted to look at? There's a bunch of patches we talked about, and then we talked a little bit about Raspberry Pi support and some debugging of these issues. Chanwit, Sunny, did you guys have anything as far as like action items, things that we needed to follow up on?
I created a few PRs implementing the things I brought up last time. So VM labeling has been merged. So now you can add labels to the VMs that you create.
Oh, did Chanwit already review and merge that?
Right, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't see that. VM labels, cool. And then also you did fix 450? Oh.
No,
that's
not me.
earlier.
The second PR that I created was for the object already exists error, which is false was there because of prefix matching in the name.
Where is that patch?
Should be at the top.
Oh, here we are.
Right.
Verify UID or name performs prefix match. This results in false positive errors when objects have similar names.
So I added a test and just changed the filter function. Seems to work now.
Verify UID or name. I see. So this is only called in. Oh, nice. I need a test here. This is only called from the create.
Right.
And then instead of doing a prefix match. UID.
Exact name match.
Dynamic. Where is the code change? Because this is just changing the function name. And then this is test code. Oh, this is an existing function, I guess?
Right. Yeah, it's an existing.
I'll can take a deeper look into this and then probably merge that. I mean, I guess I could look now. Might as well try to get that out of the way since it's such a small patch. So then that actual patch, the file changed was just calling on C dynamic find. Is that from the GitOps toolkit? And this is in metadata go.
Yeah, we got the filter refactor out of the Ignite project, and now it's in the GitOps toolkit repo.
Process UID, a new 8-byte ID that handles directory creation and deletion. Here's this verify UID or name function. And then you change this. And unfortunately, there's no doc string on this. And then that is a client from where? Ignite internal client. Okay. Oh, now we're hopping files. This was mounts example. Don't need that. Save. Meta. Okay, well, basically this was a prefix match on this ID name filter. And then I don't see the other function immediately. Where did that come from? Do you see what I'm looking for? Or is it not clear what I'm trying to do? So basically in the patch, I'm just looking for new name filter, which gets, it's not added by the patch, so it's somewhere in the existing code base.
In the filter package, there is a name.go file.
Yeah, and I see here, okay. So new name filter, it's just not in the same file. It's ID name versus name. Okay. And matches objects exactly by name. Okay. And then this verify UID or name should only be used in the metadata package. And it's only in this file. So here, there's these things for process name, UID, and set name. And why they would call verify, make sure there isn't any duplicates, is not a great usage for that. If the generated UID is unique, break the generator loop. Okay. And then duplicate names. So yeah, this seems to be an improper use of that, which means that this patch is excellent. Then I would imagine that this test likely passes. This is green. The test runner isn't run. So let's go ahead and check that out. I guess this is just in what, package meta? And then if I were to do something like this, so that would be the best way to run that test. And then here you added, was it this one here? Verify UID or name.
Right, that's name.
Tests. Yeah. Cool. And then if we read the test, what you're doing is, here's some cases. So you want to create some objects with similar names. There's some existing ones, and then if I create this one that matches the same prefix, then it should pass.
Right. Yes, failed before.
And then the same thing. Here you have, you're expecting this one to error. Okay. And then the test runner. Okay. So you create this temporary directory. You create a new cache generic raw storage, and you pass it the temporary directory. You make sure that there's a defer to remove the directory. Now we have a new client. You're going to try to make some objects using that backing storage. You go for all of the existing objects, you make a VM with that name, set the UID, set some required fields, I guess. Was this
right, they are required.
Yeah.
If I don't put them, it will just crash.
Okay. API image, okay. Then kernel, okay. It's just another required field. Save the object. This is the end of that for loop for the expected object. Existing objects, yeah.
Yeah.
And then if new object name exists. Okay. Yeah, so then you don't have to create another object. You're just running verify UID or name with the new object name and
Yeah.
seeing if that succeeds or fails. Cool. That test makes sense to me, and we just saw that it passed. Chan, were you following along? There? It's +1 for me.
Thanks.
All right, I'm probably just going to merge that. Doesn't sound like Chanwit has any qualms against it. So
Yeah, I am not sure what I'm understanding is correct or not, but it feels like when we using, I found a lot of name and ID or name filter being used in many other places in the code. So I'm not sure that if we change the behavior of this function to be like exact match the name, it's gonna, I'm not sure it's gonna change the behavior of the overall. I mean, in other places, it still use name or ID matching. So
yeah. Here we have set name and UID. So if we look at the public functions from the metadata package, right? Because that's what I was looking at. So this is private, it's not exported, and then it's used by process name and process ID, which are also private. But then process name and process ID are used by set name and UID. So you're concerned about this, basically. Label doesn't touch it.
I concern the use of that filter, the old one.
It would be these, right? So here, metadata set name and UID.
Right.
And this is in the VM create.
So, yeah, so if it's going to be very specific, so
and then here in import for setting the name and UID of an image, I guess, yeah. So these are the only places where the code actually touches, and it's setting the name of a new object. Here it's create, and then on import image right here, and import kernel. So if we have a new OCI image and we want to create a storage object with the accompanying API object, then we need to set the name and UID on the API object. And then same thing for the VM run. But I don't actually see another time where the metadata package is being used with that code path. Because otherwise, yeah, this is a private function, so nothing can call it.
Right.
I did check to make sure that it was not called outside of the file here. So here you can see it's being tested, and then it's just in here, inside of the metadata file. For sanity's sake, I usually would do something like and then I would run my magical make ignite, make the Docker file, and run the end-to-end tests with just Docker Bridge and Containerd, and this should pass. And I have to go out to the root. Oops, no. There we go.
Is there a plan for running the tests in any public CI? Like
the package tests, I believe, are run in CI, but I ran them for sanity. The end-to-end tests need infrastructure with nested root. I believe that's doable on. We have an issue about it. I can't remember the full details anymore. So that's the
saw an
big.
issue which has a link to Travis being able to run Vagrant, so maybe you can
Right.
run this.
Okay. Yeah. As long as we can do KVM on Travis, I think that's a thing.
No, I don't think we could do that on Travis. We discussed this in the past, and I think we don't have nested KVM on Travis, as far as I'm concerned.
That's what I read. When I was searching, I read that Travis doesn't support nested KVM. Yeah. Some people were trying to run Android VM, but they were not able to do that.
Yeah, we currently use Circle CI, I believe. Is that what it was? If you look at the...
Yeah, that's Circle CI.
Right, and Circle CI does not support it last I checked. So we would need to move CI providers, which is not super difficult. It just is going to take a little time. But yeah, that's I recall Travis supporting it. I think GitHub Actions might also support it. But yeah, we need a provider that allows nested KVM in order for us to run the Ignite E2Es. And I guess like even beyond that, it needs to be nested KVM with root, and it might also be inside of a container. And I don't know if Ignite actually will work in that environment. So we have to make sure that it does. That's something that's really interesting. You might have the chops to debug this, Sunny, but we I don't think we have a dedicated issue for it yet. I always forget, so I'm thinking about too many things. But like, I left some comments about how this doesn't work inside of the container. Tidy, arbitrary mount options, misconfiguration. I don't know. Anyway, it'd be great if Ignite could work inside of a Docker container with the proper mounts from the host, and it doesn't. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, I forget what issue details this.
Yeah, I forget.
But yeah, we did talk about it before.
Yeah.
Maybe I can try if I get more details.
Yeah, so the issue we were running into is like after you have the mounts and you set the seccomp profile and privileged flags, then when you do like an Ignite run, import works, but then Ignite run fails because of device mapper. And
it was working right in 0.4.
It was working at some point, I think, like before 05 even. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the VK kubelet POC I was using is I putting Ignite into a container and it was working fine, but later it's just
we changed the way that like we were setting up storage for the VM, and now something is not working. So but that's the extent of our debugging. But if you want to get your teeth into something juicy and interesting, then that would be at least now you know.
I'll look for it. Yeah.
It's something that Chanwood and I have known about for a while, and we're like, I don't know how to debug that at this moment.
Yeah. The way to reproduce it is you just put Ignite binary into a container and give it the privilege, and then trying to run it. I mean,
Yeah.
with the privilege flag, just that, and it's going to be. I mean, the error will.
Well, yeah, you'll mount the CRI sockets as well. Like, so you'll put var run.
Oh yeah.
With the proper mount permissions. And you know what? Now I'm thinking about it. It's probably just like a mount propagation thing.
I thought it was some permission, like even the root user inside the container cannot access the loop device or something.
I mean, if you give the in root container or the in container root, like the root mount namespace, and then you give it privileged, which does a bunch of stuff, and then you give it like the proper seccomp profile, that's basically the on host root. It's the same UID, and it has all of the capabilities. So I am almost thinking now that maybe it's just a mount propagation thing with Device Mapper. Like when Device Mapper creates a device, it needs to have some kind of propagation in the mount subsystem.
So you mean we can lift the seccomp profile restriction somehow?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
you can add capabilities to get it beyond. Like you can say cap at all.
Yeah, I think I did that. But,
yeah. Yeah, if you do that, right, then the root inside the container is not restricted in any way that I can imagine. But anyway, let's we merged the patch, we ran the tests. That it seems to look pretty good. Thank you for submitting that. Let's get on to the rest of the agenda here. So we went through the action items. Sunny, you brought up this issue. Did you want to talk about this?
Yes. So Ignite imports this back project, and it has a invalid.
You're back.
And because of this, when you run go mode tidy, yeah, I got a phone call. It fails go mode tidy. And it looks like this test will just fail. Should we just remove this file or do something else?
So does this
package doesn't exist in this project itself?
You're saying if I do this with the newest version of Go, it'll fail. Yeah, that failed.
That's the patch text file.
But then if I sorry, 1 second. (112). I do this. I go dot files home local. Oh, that doesn't look like the right version. There we go. So now my Go versions, and then Yeah. So basically, go mod tidy with 1.12.10 is working, but with 1.13.4 it's not. And we just haven't bumped our version of Go. Because if you look at the make file, right, we use the old version. So bumping our Go version would be great, right? But this is the difference between make tidy in Docker, which is pinned to Golang 1.12.10. And does a bunch of autogen stuff as well for the command line documentation. So that's passing versus if I were to set my host version to, what was it, the latest. It's probably a newer Go version than that even. And then if I were to run the local make tidy, it's going to fail. So there we go. If this is the only issue that's preventing us from doing this, were you able to verify that?
No, I didn't do anything. I just checked if the import is correct, and that project doesn't have that package itself. So I was not sure what should I do. Should I delete the whole test file or something else?
I mean, okay, what's the issue here? I mean, this is the same exact import twice. Once it's like aliased. So here we're using API, and then we're also using runtime somewhere. Yeah, runtime object. So that should probably just be API runtime object. Oh no, it's not the same import. What am I talking about? So you're saying this package doesn't exist?
Yes, maybe Ignite was part of this project before, but now it's moved to a different repository. But I checked the history of the Git history, but I could not find any reference of that package.
Yeah, I'm now wondering if we have. Let's see. So we don't have a copy of that test inside of the Ignite project. And basically, Lucas wrote this code, and the GitOps toolkit did used to be an internal package inside of Ignite. It should be in the Git history.
This looks like a new repository, like not very old. Maybe it's a copy of.
It's not. This repo used to be inside of the Ignite repo, and then it was.
Oh.
So this is probably just a rename issue. Now, it almost makes this a little weird. I think.
If you check the APIs that have been changed, like VM state running, there's no such thing. Things have been changed now.
So we've changed the Ignite API in a way where this doesn't work anymore.
Right. I was thinking of doing that. Import it properly and make it run.
Yeah. I could not do it. That's almost. That's pretty weird, because then the Ignite project is a dependency inside of GitOps Toolkit. Now I'm curious. All right, let's go. Cool. What was my diff here? What's in that file? This is current. now I'm just curious what's in here for Ignite. So we have a sample application and a bunch of Ignite client stuff. We've got Ignite in a storage log, and then there was this test. So it looks like as far as imports to Ignite, it'd be this client template. Go client for Ignite resources. It's that same exact import. And then there's this main where we just create a Git directory. Yeah, these two packages, I can't imagine. It's like, that probably doesn't exist, right? So in package, there's no APIs directory. Yeah, you're right about that. We should figure out what to do with that. That's a good point. So I have no clear answer there. But basically the context is GitOps toolkit used to live in the Ignite repo. It was broken out. There are two packages that are importing the Ignite API. These imports look to be assuming an older API version. One is for create patch testing. The other is for client generation. I think that's what that was, right? If we go back to the search. What is this API used for? It's just wanting to make this Ignite internal client. I imagine we have this inside of the Ignite code base. No?
Yes, it is there. Yeah. I've used it in the test today.
This function is inside of the...
Not the exact function, but other function that uses this function. New client, I guess.
Yeah. Where did my Ignite code base go? Yeah, I mean, we definitely have package client with this new client function that uses that. So that can probably be deleted as long as it's not being used inside of GitOps toolkit, which I don't see how it would be. Yeah, so this file can probably be deleted. This entire package, maybe. I don't know, what's importing clients is, I guess, my question. But as far as this goes, this is probably dead code, I would imagine. And then the other one that we're looking at, what is it? Testing. It's testing patch, which the patch code, basically it's doing a create or an apply. And if we look at here, it's using the strategic patch. I see. So this could be replaced, in my opinion, with any API. It'd probably be best to just create a mock API inside of GitOps Toolkit. And then the other file, I'm guessing, can be deleted, maybe? So I'll say this client code looks to be dead. Remove it.
You can do that.
Yeah. And then as far as create patch, perhaps create mock API inside of GitOps Toolkit and remove the Ignite API import. Is going to be my guess there. This is a good question. Moving on to, should the Ignite CP command be redone using the Go standard lib SSH package? Sounds good.
So this PR works. I've used it for my kind Ignite thing. It works, but
yeah.
Ignite exec uses the SSH package of Go. Maybe we should move or re-implement this in using Go itself, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we're already doing that in the exec package, then we should do that in the CP package, as opposed to shelling out to the host SSH. I think that does make sense.
I can give it a try.
If that's something you'd like to take up, maybe just ping G. Pawlowski, and the only thing I would say is respect the Git history. So if you could, yeah, just basically don't nullify the work here. And sounds good to me.
How about like leaving a comment that we want to re-implement this using Go?
Yeah. Guess I will link here. Don't need that anymore. And Ignite dev call. This patch is and then your Darko WLZZ mentioned that he's for the kind integration, and that he's going to just going to call it refactoring because the feature is already implemented. Feature with the standard lib SSH package instead of shelling out to the hosts or
I was about to ask the same. Should we keep the Git history? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. And as far as, yeah, like extending this feature, I think in general, Ignite CP makes sense to me. It's in line with Ignite exec. Where I get a little weird about this is it seems there's you could probably get a little inventive about different ways to write this feature. But yeah, using SSH as transport sounds fine to me. And if we want
How else can you do it?
I mean, I think you could probably mess with the underlying storage
Oh,
of
okay.
the virtual machine.
That
The
would be
other
nice.
way is you could use the console instead to, I don't know, start up something a little lighter. But yeah, I mean, I think SSH makes sense as a feature here. It doesn't need to be like the most theoretically perfect solution. We should do what makes sense for users here, and that sounds great to me.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. And then the only other thing I had was that I'm reviewing some of Lucas's contribs for kernel work. That'll update.
Last week, I think you mentioned that Ignite, you're working to run Ignite on a Raspberry Pi. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The normal Raspberry Pi version 4.
Yep. Yeah, that is apparently working.
How will it run? It has some KVM or something?
Yep. Yeah, ARM
supports.
ARM KVM.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Lucas sent me a DM the other day of a Raspberry Pi with 6 CPUs because of KVM over provisioning. So he started in an Ignite VM with more CPUs than the Raspberry Pi had, and he's like, "This is the first time I've seen this." So
I would like to try. I have one. I would like to try it.
You have one. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's continue getting these patches merged. Basically, the only thing I'm working on here is like I'm just being a little critical of some of the options that are enabled, and yeah, making sure that I understand the build. And otherwise, it's looking great. These things should be in pretty soon. They do cause, I think, who is it? It's the TCMU patch. Night issue poll.
I was about to bring this, then I saw that you commented on the PR already.
Oh, this one?
Right.
Yeah, so basically the only other consideration here is just this is a nice and simple patch, and it touches some of the same files, and yeah, it's just a question of who rebases on who. But yeah. don't like struggling to just paste a link into these notes here. Okay, there we are. And then here's this one. Sure. That wasn't the only one. There were also just 513. Excuse me. Yeah. Feeling a little sick. So, but yeah. This BootCon one is a little weird to me. So I left a comment for Lucas, and he's a bit busy right now. Also, there's some kind of conflicts that need to be resolved. I don't want to carry the patch because I figure Lucas will come back and fix things up. But I did have some questions as to why this is enabled for the ARM kernel and not for the normal one, the AMD 64 one. Apparently, this boot option is just so that you can keep the boot console around as the machine is booting. And the justification that Lucas put in here for why this was included, he left a comment for the Firecracker Quick Start or Getting Started. They have an example in here with no. So basically, if it's x86-64, then here are the boot arguments for the kernel. And then if it's AArch64, right, then they add. And there's no comment as to why that is. And the only thing I can think of is that basically this ARM support is new, so they want people to be able to ship logs back if they have issues or something. But yeah, I could probably trace the code to see who made this documentation update. I haven't done that yet. I guess I could look at the history or something. But yeah, so it's just little things like that. But the kernel support for the ARM stuff is coming, and then yeah, hopefully that'll work. So let's since you have a Raspberry Pi 4, that would be great if we could.
Mine has ARM v7. This is ARM 64. Aren't they different?
I know that Lucas has a Raspberry Pi 4. Let's see.
Even mine is called Raspberry Pi 4.
Let's look
at version BS.
Architecture, CPU. And then here's the wiki on it. ARM 64. You think that there would be more references to CPU architecture on the Raspberry Pi Wikipedia, right? Like here we are, like there's like a, input output, like voltages, and all this stuff. You think that I would be able to determine what CPU arch they're using. But so you ARM v7L?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's ARM v7, and people are asking if they can run ARM 64 code. I'll give it a try. Would be nice. I'm running a K3S in my Raspberry Pi. It's working really good.
I'm going to stop the sharing really quick and look at this DM that Lucas sent me. Let's see. So when he sent me this, the architecture is AArch64. And he says he's on a Pi. Which Pi is this? Yeah, I said, is that a Pi 4? I thought that those were quad cores because he sent me this image. And, can I copy this image? Here we go. I'll just paste it into the Zoom chat, maybe. Doesn't work. Oh well. Anyway. Yeah, the screenshot he sent to me is AArch64 VM with 6 CPUs with the Raspberry Pi CPU ID. It's called OXD08 is the CPU part number. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm sure that there's going to be a guide on how to get it up and running because that's Lucas's main.
I'm on their official website, raspberrypi.org, and they say it's quad core A72 ARM. Wait, ARM V8. V8 is 64-bit. I think he has the V8 one. V7 is different. I have to check mine. I'm confused now.
Yeah, I'm seeing that ARM V8 is the only profile that supports AArch64 execution. That's a quote from the ARM developer website. Granted, though, I mean, like having an ARM64 build is one thing, right? But I don't know why, or I don't know if that's a limitation, right, for Firecracker to be supporting the Pi. So if you look for Firecracker AArch64, there's a Docker file for it. And then if I go, yeah, so they don't currently have an ARM v7 build yet in the Firecracker tools repo, which would be here. So you have a Pi 4 that's only ARM v7?
Maybe I was looking at the wrong things. I was thinking it's V7. Maybe it's V8. I didn't check. But I was running V7 binaries and they were working fine.
Oh, well, are you on your Pi right now? Can you just do an LS CPU?
Yes, I can. Let me connect and check. Oops. I'm on the wrong network.
Or you can do a uname A as well.
It says ARM v7L.
Maybe there's a CPU revision or something.
Are we still recording?
We are now, yeah. I mean, it's this is a recording of a Hangout. So that could be because of your kernel, maybe. So this person has a topic.
I installed Raspbian.
Yeah. Okay.
Could happen because of that.
Yeah, so if you're using a 32-bit Raspbian, then everything is going to run in 32-bit mode. but if you were to upgrade your OS to the 64-bit kernel and user space, then you're going to see that the CPU is running in that AArch64 mode. So there you go. There's a weekend project to upgrade your Raspberry OS.
Right.
Yeah. And then you should be able to get KVMe. All right. Sweet. Well, I learned something. That's cool. All right. Chanwit, did you have anything that you wanted to add to the agenda before we close out?
I
actually stopped recording earlier, so yeah.
Actually, I have a question, but it might be, taking too long to discuss. It's about the storage system anyway. I mean, I have a question. Why we need DM device mapper? Why we need in at the first place, and why? And is it possible to just use something? I mean, the file system similar to what container been using?
Yeah.
Or because it's kind of, I mean, this is many user like Teak. He got a question like how many gigabyte of disk we require to start, and I don't know. It's just my when I got this response from Teak, the question came into my mind that is it possible for us to map something similar to what container using as a VM disk?
Yeah, like an on-host overlay, but then give the VM access to that file system. I don't know the answer to that. I know that that's not a traditional way of sharing files from the host to the virtual machine. But is it possible? I know of like a 9P file system. That's like what Docker uses, but not for the entire VM, only for the configuration Git repo. For the what am I getting at? So they have a 9P mounted file system where you can change a Git directory on the, say, your Mac or something, and then it gets mounted through all the way into the virtual machine. For one, that 9P is like a really old interface and it's kind of slow, but that's one thing.
I if I remember correctly, GVisor is using that kind of protocol as well.
Who is?
Google GVisor project.
GVisor.
The one, the one been making around it.
They're using 9P as well.
It's just some kind of something similar to 9P to emulate the disk.
Yeah.
So you can't directly, I mean, access the host. Just you got like an inside a sandbox, and it's on a separate process. Like
so can you access the disk from the host? Like, can you access the file system from the host or not?
The process in the container cannot access the host directly.
Yes, but the other way around is, it sounds like what you're trying to accomplish, right?
Oh yeah. But I mean, yeah. If when you said not, the name.
But as far as using Device Mapper, there are things that you can do, like you can do thin provisioning, which would basically make it not consume all the space.
Right. Kind of snapshot thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, just the idea. It's just the idea. Just the question that came.
So we should become more knowledgeable in that area. But yeah, is it possible to do other things? Yeah. Why we don't? Probably a more nuanced thing that I'm not educated on.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop the recording now and we'll post this. And thanks for joining. And if we have anything else, then let's just post it up in Slack. And thanks for the patches. See you guys later.
Thank you, Sunny.
Yeah, thanks for reviewing my PRs. Thanks.